Emilio, the honey badger, Urrutia!
Yo, 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 ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Honey Badger Hour. This episode of the Honey Badger Hour podcast is brought to you by the original Clippers Barbershop. We're joined with coach of the UFC Featherweight World Champion, Alexander Volkanovski, the great Joe Lopez.
Thanks, Emilio. Thanks for having me on, and such a warm welcome.
Hey, you guys been busy, man. You just touched down in Las Vegas. You got here a little bit early. Did you guys arrive early for the UFC submission tournament?
Yeah, we came out to see Craig and the rest of the B team boys compete. Good night for the boys. So yeah.
Hey, everybody, and all the boys did good, huh? They all competed, so it's good. So yeah. Craig Jones kind of set the pace for the week, huh?
Yeah. He set the bar, so now we've got to keep it there.
Wow, and he had a big win too. He beat like the best guy out there right now, which was huge, man.
Yeah. We got to do a bit of training with the boys yesterday. It was good, rolling with some good high-level guys. Yeah. Good.
I know. I saw that. Oh, yeah. So hey, you know what I was just thinking about? Pretty late, Big Joe, pretty late in your jiu-jitsu career, you're probably learning a lot of new moves and a lot of good stuff like that. A lot of coaches and martial artists don't really get to experience so late in the game. Like I can only imagine how much more ever evolving, being able to have Craig Jones in you guys' corner for the last few years.
Yeah, I think I've forgotten more than what I know.
Wow. That's how you know you.
Always say.
Yeah, that's how you know you become a master, huh? Once you forget more moves than you've learned, that's when you've reached that mastery level.
You reckon?
Yeah. That's just father time kicking in, eh?
Yeah, it is.
Oh man! All right, so coming up on UFC Fight Week. How's it been preparing for a fighter that's not a grappler? It's switching it back up for a striker that's not named Max Holloway. I guess a little bit different. Nice change of pace for you guys.
Yeah, it has. It's been a good camp. I've been enjoying, watching and studying Yair and seeing how he moves, and it's been good. And like you said, it was. It's been a completely different camp. We have wrestled, obviously, but, it's been more striking base. Been fun.
Yeah, it's true.
Strike come down.
Yeah, so how do you do you feel like training camp for a striker is a little bit less strenuous on the body than training for a grappler, where like maybe you're swapping out those extra wrestling sessions for extra sparring sessions or whatnot?
Yeah. They both got their pros and cons, but the striking is obviously a lot more dangerous. You get hit in the wrong spot, you get stitches or something breaks. Wrestling is obviously a lot harder on the body physically, but Alex has been taking it in his stride as normal. He's put in 100%, and hopefully we come up with the goods this Saturday. Or next Saturday, I beg your pardon.
Oh, yeah, we're Saturday. Yeah, there you go, man. So then you guys got here. When do you usually arrive in Las Vegas? Like Monday, Tuesday?
Normally we get here on the Sunday.
Oh, okay. So you'd be flying right now.
We normally, how can I say, we leave on a Sunday morning and we arrive here on a Sunday morning, with the time differences. And then we normally lose, on the way back, we lose a day and a half,
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, so you'd rather...
Flight time.
True that. Yeah, but on the way here, you rather miss it. So on the way here, it's not too bad. It's going back that you guys really feel it and you lose a day.
Yeah. Well, it's a day and a half because we leave here late at night and we arrive the following day, early in the morning. So we miss a day and a half. Just because of the times.
Wow. And you guys you're already used to the jet lag and stuff like this. Your body adjusts. You feel like your body's adjusted better since you started doing the trip a little bit more often now?
Yeah, I guess, you have your moments. Last night wasn't a real good one, but yeah, it was. I think if you, we arrive here usually in the morning. If we don't sleep that day and just stay up all night till the night time, you usually recover, But it was a real long night on our first night because, obviously we got here on the Thursday and we watched the boys compete. So we didn't get home till midnight. So it was just a really, really long day.
Oh, wow. With the travel on top and everything. And I'm sure you guys are getting your sessions in too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we got a good session in yesterday. Like I said, we got boys got to roll with the boys from the B team. It was really good watching those guys roll. Pretty high level.
Yeah. Have you ever trained with Nicky Ryan? Is this your first time training with Nicky Ryan?
Yeah.
Nice. And then what do you have? J-Rod too and Nicky Rod, right? You have the two brothers and Nicky Ryan?
And Nicky Ryan, yeah. The three of them and Craig. And, yeah.
Are they all going to stick around? Good. Oh, man, I bet you. I had my friend train with Nicky Ryan for a while, and he told me that kid was just unbelievable how good he was. He's like a wizard down there, too.
He is. Like, J-Rod was pretty impressive for a guy that's only been training for 3.5 years. His level of grappling and athleticism is just second level. Honestly, that kid can move.
And and he's relatively new to the jiu-jitsu, right? Like he hasn't been grappling for too long as far as submission wrestling.
Same as Nicky Rod, I think, has been doing it long. I'm not sure about him, but both are very, very, both very athletic, explosive guys. But when you roll with them, they're actually very controlled, really good to roll with, unlike Craig Jones, who's horrible to roll with.
Craig Jones, he's just trying to put you on the stretcher the whole time?
He is, don't you? He's just out there to hurt you.
He's like the name of the pain, like he's like Ivan Drago when he asks him, what's the prediction? What's your prediction for this match, Craig? Pain.
Exactly right.
And it must be a good crack up. Like it must be good energy when having him in the camp, huh? Like you guys, I've been watching the podcast. This guy cracks me up all the time, so it's good, man. I know you guys love the banter, so it's like rule number one of hanging with the boys. So
yeah, it is. There's never a dull moment, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And you got to watch everything you do. They've always got a camera out. They're always filming you or trying to catch you out. So you got to be on guard with those boys.
Oh man. Have you been keeping an eye on the division, on any of the contenders coming up for what's next for Alex?
Look, I never look past what we've got in front of us. There's a lot of talk about that, Ilya. And, it's great, Anybody bar Max is always good. Just from watching tape perspective, you don't really ever want to go back there again.
Oh my gosh, yeah, bro. What do you guys do if he keeps winning, man? He just beat Alan Arnold. That would have been a good contender for Volk. We were talking about that last time. That him versus Alan Arnold would have been some good fresh blood. A young guy too, in the division.
Yeah, we're all sort of thinking the same thing. But like I said, we got here next Saturday, so that's who we're looking at. Who knows? Maybe later on we've got Islam. There's a few options out there. You got Aljamain Sterling, who said he's going to come up as well. So there's a few people there that are into the mix, which is good.
Would you ever consider having Volk go down to 135 to challenge for the triple title, to go for the triple C?
I'd have to see. I'd have to talk to Geordie about that one,
Yeah, definitely. But look, so now Volkanovski coming back, training for Yair Rodriguez. Did you guys change up the training? I saw you brought in some new blood. You brought in some good strikers from all around to help give some different looks for Volkanovski for the camp.
Yeah, we had we had a huge variety of different strikers in that. We're just trying to get that look, he brings, and which is hard to mimic, but we ended up getting Carl Van Roon and Bloods, and big old Brenton Mumford came up as well. He came in, and it's been good, especially having those boys in town. It was good.
You had the Combat Wombat in town. You had the original Wombat.
Yeah.
Brendan, we go back to the AFC days with Brenton.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Like I said, he always brings good vibes to the camp. He's always good value.
Yeah, definitely, man. I tell you what, Joe, being a coach it's a lot of work. It's very unforgiving, Like I'm sure it takes a lot of your time, man. Especially now you have a new crop of fighters coming up in freestyle fighting, right? Yeah,
it is, and especially when they start fighting internationally, you're out of the country so much, I mean, look, I enjoy it, but yeah, like you said, you're just busy because you're just here, there, and everywhere, and a lot of it's spent up in the air, flying to different places.
Wow, yeah, definitely. Especially, do you guys have any? So, who do you have anybody next on the grid for UFC that you're looking to have some high hopes for coming up under the wings?
Well, look. Well, Justin just won. He's eternal. That's the second time he's won the eternal featherweight title. There's a bit of talk about him, coming in, and I've got a lot of up and coming. A lot of them just have had, a bit of bad luck, with fights falling through or injuries and anything else from the young, like Colby and Jared and Seb and a few of the other guys, they just, like I said, either they've been injured or their fights have fallen through. But, hopefully, things start happening.
Yeah, definitely. And they got a good, they have a good blueprint to follow too. The pave was written for them. So I'm excited to see what those guys make. I'm excited to see what noise those guys bring for the dong.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. Yeah. So training for Yair Rodriguez, right? When you're gonna have him getting ready, and you have Volk getting ready here, do you feel like it's a little bit? Do you have to bring a little bit different game to the table? Like, all right, so you're training with Volkanovski. When you guys were preparing for Makhachev, maybe the wrestling that you couldn't show for the Makhachev fight, you can now show in the Rodriguez fight. So it'll be like interesting now you can maybe work a different part of your game that you haven't been for a while.
Yeah, there should be some wrestling involved in there, he's a pretty dangerous and very unpredictable striker,
Yeah.
When he gets cornered or he gets tired or he's injured, that's when he's probably very, very dangerous, and he'll throw things that you're not supposed to throw, like the spinning elbows and spinning kicks. He'll do an Imanari roll. He's just very off cuff, you could say, just so it's very hard to prepare for a guy like that, because there's nobody out there like that, He's got his own special style.
And it's going to be hard to, like, a lot of the moves, some of the most dangerous moves that he has, like some of the weapons that he brings to the table, it's going to be hard to use in sparring because you don't really want to throw those moves, the heel kicks and the elbows, the spinning elbows and stuff. You can't really throw those nonchalantly in training, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could throw them, but they're always controlled, so they're not being thrown at full speed. So, like I said, it's hard to prepare. But look, we've done the best we can, and like I said, on next Saturday night, Alex hopefully highlights all the hard work that he's been putting in, and the rest of the team has.
Yeah, definitely. Now it'll be a good time for him to show his well-roundedness and really set himself apart from the rest of the division too. Definitely.
100%. Like I said, I don't like looking past this fight, but there's a lot of other exciting fights to make after this one, so which is good, instead of having just Max in front of us, like I keep saying.
Yeah, I like the Aljamain Sterling matchup. That'll be a great fight. Nice super fight. And you got a champion coming up. Two champions against each other. And it'll be nice to have two champions go against each other and Volk be the bigger guy. So it'll be nice to have, and so now it'll be like Aljamain that has to rise to the occasion too, which would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say Aljamain's. Aljamain's obviously a lot taller than Alex, but
True, true, yeah.
Alex has got that, yeah, that brick physique. Yeah,
Yeah, he's got that hard frame to describe. Like, he's got that inner strength, you know? That crazy
yeah,
hip strength, man.
yeah. Like, I often tell that to people. I go, unless he's standing in front of you or he grabs you, you don't realise how strong he actually is. You know.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And have you been training with the gi much at all? Do you still play? Do you guys, you teaching the gi at all much? Or you have classes still, or you guys
Oh, we
been?
have geek classes at the gym. I don't do. I've got somebody in there doing them now. Um, Now we're B team boys now, all totally no good.
Yeah.
No, it's just not. It's just not practical for MMA. You know. Yeah. Look, I think it has got some uses, but you know, if you're purely doing MMA, the jiu-jitsu that you use is a little bit different. You know. Yes, especially the way I am. We're always, you know. Trying to be top players, you know, so we don't try to spend any time on the bottom. You know, everything that we do is if you're on the bottom, you're just going to fight to get to the top, and that's the strategy and the philosophy that we you know got down at the gym, you know, and you know making that extra push. You know, I always say guys make that one effort to get to their, you know, they're on their back and they get to their knees and then they stop. Where if they make a couple of more moves, they can get up. But, you know, people stop, and then if you stop, you know, you've sort of stopped your progress, and then it gives the guy that's trying to stop you a chance to take you back down to where you started. So, yeah, it's hard to push those scrambles. And, look, you know, you get guys like Alex who really does it well, Colby, and a few of the guys at the gym, you know, they've got that scrambling push that if they get taken down, they don't stay on their backs for long. You know, they're straight up.
Yeah, that's one thing that I feel like a lot of us, I mean, especially for me, that I think we did, like, people started wrong back in the day. Like, we started with jiu-jitsu, but then we get into these bad habits of, like, you get put on your back and you kind of just start to work your guard. But really, if your butt hits the mat, you should be thinking like a wrestler. Like, you just got to get up right away, right? And I think
100%.
Yeah. And when you learn,
and that's what that's what we really pushed. And again, those wrestlers have got that, you know, that real scramble. You know, there's no way you're going to get me on my back. You know, they'll you know fight tooth and nail to get back onto their knees and not be on their back.
Yes.
And you could see that a lot with the jiu-jitsu guys. They get on their back and they can just stall it. Where MMA, you just can't afford to do that because, you know, you get one punch, one elbow, and it could just change the whole fight. So you don't really want to risk it being on your back, you know, and copping that punishment.
Yeah, especially, with those punches coming down, it can change everything. One or two punches, then it can open up submissions too. You get rocked, and then when you're wobbled, right?
100%.
That's kind of how, like, Islam, that's how Islam caught Charles when he was a little bit wobbled and he was already, like, on Queer Street. So it just opens up the door for way more things. But that's because Charles always concedes to his back. Did you see the Oliveira fight with Barrio Danish? Did you see the Barrio fight?
Yeah.
Tell me you weren't screaming when he pulled guard in the beginning. Like, this guy, he's still doing the same thing. It's crazy, right? I was like, what are you doing? Why does he? But he got away with it, but that's crazy, right? Like, usually in MMA, we said don't do that anymore, you know?
Yeah, so true. I mean, you know, Cronin Gracie, you know, is one of the greats of jiu-jitsu world. You know, he copped a lot of flack for the way he fought. You know, it's very old school MMA. Look, some guys can get away with it. You know, like a Ryan Hall or someone like that. That's very jiu-jitsu based and very. That's what they're good at. That's their speciality. Sometimes they can get away with it, but then other times they don't. You know, that's why I'm not a fan of the leg locks because, if you get it, well and good, but if you don't, man, you're going to have a tough night in the office. You know, with that guy getting on top and just raining blows, and you got two of your hands wrapped around his foot. Yeah, it's very, if you don't get it straight away, and you only need to cop one good one, you just have a look at that Gary Tonin fight, on one where, he went for the leg lock early and the guy was ready for it and he didn't want to let go. And the other guy said, well, stuff you, mate. We're a couple of these.
Yeah, and what's another thing with the leg locks too? Some guys will just let their, some guys aren't going to tap to pain. And right,
Yeah.
like you've seen guys just kind of like look at their leg and just let it go. Like some people kind of accept that their knees are gonna go, especially when you fight a leg lock type guy like a Gary Tonin-esque,
Yeah, the other example is I forget his name, but Dan Hooker with the he had him in the knee bar.
Ian. From that's right. Dan Hooker just had him he went to the 50-50 and Dan Hooker just pounded him out, man.
Yeah. Dan said, my knee popped. I said, it popped. It's already stuffed. What else is going to happen to it? And just said, went to town on him and, beat him up,
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's wild when that happens. Like, I'm still surprised that guys go for it because when you see it get pulled off, though, it's hard. It's like you love it. It's like the knockout, I guess. When you get it, it's so cool. But it's so dangerous. It's like pulling guard and going for flying triangles and stuff. Just wouldn't,
100%. It'll look good if you pull it off, but risk reward, I don't think it's there. It isn't.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, that will bring me into the next question I wanted to ask you about. Like, so as a coach starting off, if you had an athlete building up, if you wanted to build like the perfect fighter per se, what would be how you start him out getting ready to start? Like if you want to build a UFC champion basically from the ground up, what would be the first martial art you instill into your athlete, you think?
Look, you gotta do them all. As it says, it's mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
You can't be like we just touched on then, you can't be a jiu-jitsu specialist and expect to win these days because, everybody's so much better out there, You don't have to be a jiu-jitsu specialist. You just have to have good jiu-jitsu awareness and you can get out of things, whether it's wrestling, jiu-jitsu or striking. So you really need to touch on all of them. I think as a coach, you'd have to, put the person through each pace and see what they're good at and what are their weaknesses, what are their strengths, and build on their weaknesses and also on their strengths. If the guy can't wrestle, well, then you work on his defensive wrestling. If the guy can't strike, striking's probably one of the things that we all start standing. It's how I've seen guys that can wrestle or got good jiu-jitsu, but as soon as they cop that punch to the head, they go to water. It's not for them. So it's mentally, the striking part's a big part, and then wrestling physically, and then jiu-jitsu probably in technique-wise and moves to learn is probably the hardest.
Yeah. There's something about applying a submission in an MMA fight. It's like, I don't know what the level is, but it's like 3 to 4 times harder, I feel like, in an MMA fight than to get a submission, especially after the first round. I don't know what it is about it. Have you noticed that? I wonder what the percentages are on submissions so late in a fight.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I'm sure that, the UFC's got some stats on all that. Yeah.
Man, so
that's a... Sorry?
No, go ahead. What were you saying?
It's just, again, with the awareness of being, hit, you can't just, either you go, okay, I'm going to accept that I might cop 3 or 4 hits to pull that submission off, or you don't take that chance and you just do your own ground and pound.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing, man. You have you kind of have the choice. Like, I guess Volk has been I know Volk sometimes he opts for the ground and pound, but I know when I'm working with Craig, I'm excited to see what tricks he's got up his sleeve coming up in the future.
Yeah. And look, Alex has always had that. If he doesn't, he's got that. He always wants to transition to the next position. And look, it's something that I installed in him early. Like if you haven't got it, don't. Because it happened to me in a comp once. I burnt my hands out, so I've always didn't want anybody else to make that same mistake of hanging on to something for too long. So I've always, instilled that in everybody. Do the 5 count. If he hasn't tapped, move on to the next submission. But sometimes when you're in there that close, it pays to give that little bit extra. But yeah, if you've ever had your arms burn out, you'd never want that feeling, because it just takes so long for them to come back.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that happened to me in a few competitions with the guillotine. Like holding on to a guillotine too long.
Yeah.
And in a fight too, it had me in a fight one time where I had a triangle and I swear I had it, and then when the guy got out, my legs, I just had the spaghetti legs for like a good 6 minutes. Oh, it was so hard. Those are the ones.
Yeah, 100%. And you might be doing it at training every day where you're hanging on to these triangles, but when you're competing, you're going to just squeeze that little bit extra, and you're putting that little bit extra lactic into those legs, and like you said, then you come back and your legs are gone.
Yeah, man. That's what it is about the competition. Like, so from jiu-jitsu matches, from fights, I think that's why when you guys do the spider sessions, it's so important to get yourself. You have to push yourself to that level and get used to operating there, because I feel like that really opens up your lungs and helps you think. Because I think in the fight, it's so hard to get those submissions because there's so much going on. But those spiders, I feel like they get you to such a point of exhaustion where if you can move doing that, that's what helps you. I'm sure it translates to the fight big time,
100%, working, your muscles are fatigued, and then you got to just push through it. And I always tell the boys, your body doesn't want to do it, but your mind's got to push you through it. And it's that mental little bit at the end that really gets it, because in the fight, you're there and you've been there already in your training sessions, and you just tell yourself, hey, I can do this. My body's been here before, and your coaches are pushing you that little bit, and boom, you get that second wind, and you come back. The body's an incredible thing, what it can do. 1 minute it's just total fatigue that you can't do anything, and the next minute your mind does something, and it just kicks your body into another gear.
It is so true. It's one of those unmeasurables. I think that's why fighting is so popular and why people love it so much, and it resonates throughout so many people, because it has that instinct, that human factor of that exhaustion and being able to push through. And that's when you really see, like, especially with the 5-round fights, you get to see a lot of character being brought out, and you can see that. And it's from those sessions, man, like you were saying. Definitely.
And like I was saying, a lot of that comes back to the mental thing. Your body's been there, and mentally, I've seen guys, crack in the first couple of minutes of these sessions when they first start, and it's a mental thing. They've seen the other guys do it, and mentally they break themselves before they do the session, and the next time they come back, they usually do it okay. And again, that just builds that resilience for the fight, because the mind's been there before, when the body doesn't want to go, and the mind tells the body, hey, we've got to go.
Wow. All right, that brings me into a really good one. So do you feel all athletes have that? Everybody has that threshold in them. It's just a matter of whether you're able to pull it out, or do you feel like some people just, you know what I mean? Like, as a coach, because I feel like I'm sure you see guys when, like you were saying, I'm just talking about, like, how do I say it? Mentally, right? Like you were talking about how mentally guys check out, but like the brain's a muscle, right? So if the first time, the second time, you can get a little bit closer every time, right? Like, or how you see it?
Well, look, everybody's different, and sometimes it surprises you that the guys that you think, are going to be a little bit weaker, and you think they're going to crack under the pressure. Sometimes they're the guys that stand up. And then there's other guys that, they go really, really good in the gym, and you think, this guy's got it all together. And then, as soon as they get to the fights, the pressure and the stress of the fight, and they break mentally, they're nothing what they are in the gym, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes they come in and they perform, other guys, they don't. They've got this 50-50, and that a lot of that is just a mental thing, you know, that look, it's got all different factors. A lot of the time the stress is what wears a lot of these people down. You know, your body starts producing, you know, a lot of cortisol, and that I think just takes a big toll on the body, and you know, and then the mind just can't bring it back, I think.
Yeah, no, 100%. But that's definitely something that you can train through hard, rigorous sessions, you know, and like you can get better at the pain threshold, I guess is a good way to say it, right? Like you can definitely train your body you can harden throughout the years, you know, like constantly doing those hard sessions, and you learn how to get comfortable being in those positions.
Yeah, like we always say, you know, you get comfortable at being uncomfortable, you know.
Yeah.
That's one part of it, you know, that mental, you know, but those guys have already got it, you know, like say your Alexes and that they train hard, they're mentally hard, they got all that. Where, you know, some guys, like I was just saying, they're really good in the gym and they look fantastic when they spar and they hold their own against the best. But then as soon as they get into competition, they can't translate it. They just fall apart. The other one is guys that go, you know, every time they spar, they go hard at 10. Those guys, I feel that they never, ever bring that to the fight. You know, they're always behind.
Yeah, it's amazing how that works, right?
Yeah. I always use the example of the dial. They're always going at 10. And then when it comes to fight night, the dial doesn't go to 11, it just goes to 10, and they haven't got those extra notches. Where I think I feel that if you're going, you know, between 7 and 9, when you've got fight night, you still got those little. You can still go up to 8, 9, and 10. You know, so you can bring that little bit extra out on that fight night because you got that left in you.
Yeah, like competition runners do that. Like if you're running for a marathon, you don't run a marathon. You don't run a marathon before you do the marathon a week before, you know? You run like a half marathon at a good rate, and you want to save that. Because they said that too. Like I remember I was preparing for a marathon once, and when I was doing my research, people were saying, hey, listen, a lot of people leave the run on the you know, they leave it all out there on the preparation, and then they have nothing left for the big race because they already expended themselves.
Yeah. 100%. That's I guess you could say that's just overtraining.
Yeah.
I find that with all the fighters, you know, and again, it's just, you know, you're getting closer to the fight, and they want to do more. So, you know, the last 2 weeks of the camp, they want to do their whole camp in those last 2 weeks, and you've got to start tapering off. You know, and I always say, you know, sometimes less is more. You know, Alex was terrible at it, you know. His first 4 fights into the UFC, he was doing full, like, training camp sessions every session because, you know, and he's just tell me, you know, I've got to do this because mentally I have to do it, you know. I don't want to change anything, you know.
Yeah.
So that was in his head, you know, he was fit and he was strong, and he just, you know, mentally in his head, he didn't want to change his routine because he'd been doing it the whole camp and felt good sparring every session. So he didn't want to change anything in case it didn't work. But slowly but surely we got him out of those habit. And I think, you know, he looks back at it now and goes, God, I was an idiot, you know, doing all those hard sessions. Some guys don't even train fight week, you know. They just stretch and do a bit of shadow sparring. They don't do anything.
Yeah, remember when we were in Vegas? And I don't know if he got all hyped up with me and Shay and all the boys. And I remember he did his little sweat out before the zombie fight. We're like, all right, he was good, man. He was just like, you know, he likes to go. But I know we always talk about that, but that's what makes him the champ, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
but Yeah, but what's good about Volk is now that he's come into his own, and he's really like, you guys have kind of figured out like a good place for him, where he knows when to push it and when not to. So you can really see that a lot right now coming into his own as a champ.
Oh, 100%. He's a lot more confident. We've got things down a lot. We were just talking about it earlier on in the week about his the old days of dieting. And they asked me to bring this up about the grapes and Kai.
Oh. So Kai last I said, yo, Kai, we've got a lot. Remember when you're cutting so much weight eating nuts and peanuts? What we used to eat? Six nuts and a 6-ounce chicken breast to Guam. Just had it all packed up.
Yeah, it was 6 almonds and 200 grams of boiled chicken.
For 3 days straight, I think. Or like 4 days straight, remember?
Yeah. But the boys were just, you'd look the wrong way and everyone was snapping because their blood sugars were all over the place. And Kai with the grapes dropped out of the fridge.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, we're all getting ready to leave, and then when I opened up the fridge,
yeah.
Oh, and I'm looking at you like.
And Alex, I don't know you remember with the pineapple, he goes, I went and cut the pineapple, and he came and he whinged about it. I went fucking threw it at him.
Oh my gosh. I would say, man, isn't that one of the things that makes Alex so special? I'm sure you noticed this from the beginning. He's one of, like, as they always say, right? Like, the guys who they're amazing in the gym, but they can't seem to put it together in the fight. I feel like one of Alex's best attributes is his ability to treat training and the fight exactly the same. He's ice cold on fight day. I've always, right? I remember from the AFC days from Guam. I remember in Guam we were hanging out listening to Justin Bieber on the music. I remember just seeing him. He was so relaxed, ready for that 5-round fight. It's like a gift.
Yeah,
I think
he's always and a lot of corners and everything else look at us backstage because we're laughing and joking and having really strong banter, and they're taking it all so serious, and they're looking at us like we're a bunch of gypsies, that we don't know what we're doing, but I think it's just that we keep each other calm, and we're going back to that, not stressing out for at the least amount of time as possible, so when you go out there your body's got plenty of stuff in it,
Yeah, I think, like I say, whenever anybody shares a corner with you guys or they see the way that you guys roll, it's like you kind of set a precedent for everybody else. Because it's funny, like a lot of the fighters, we love to whinge. Most fighters love to whinge on fight week. You know what I mean? But you're not allowed with the boys. That's not allowed in this crew.
Yeah, you don't want to whinge. That could end pretty bad for you.
Oh, man.
There's a lot of strong, big personalities out there, and you got to bring your A game when you're with this team, I tell you, because there's some, yeah.
Up until I'm sure the banter will be going with the Craig and the boys up until Alex gets up until they lock the cage. There's gonna be some type of banter going on for sure.
Mate, it's so true. We're about to walk out and like a lot of the officials in Vegas when we first were here, we're laughing and joking. And I remember one of the ladies goes, "Do you realise you guys are going out to fight?" And we go, "Yeah, but this is the way we are, just having a bit of fun, And she couldn't believe the way that we were, and we're just about to get pulled out on, the curtain's about to go, and we're about to make the walk, and we're still going at each other.
Yeah. I remember when Alex was walking out for the Makachev fight, and I could see, when they put the camera on you guys, like when you guys are walking out to the tunnel, and you could just see, you can feel his presence, through the camera, and especially since we know him, and he turns around, and he says, like, "All right, let's go, boys," and he's just like so chill about it, That's one of my favorite things about it. Oh, and Vegas has become, what's good is now Vegas has become familiar territory for you, right? It's not like it's another day in the office now.
Yeah. Well, I think, like, what do they say? If you spend more than a week in Vegas, you're a local, and we've spent a lot of time here in Vegas. Yeah, we know the place pretty well, especially after The Ultimate Fighter. It's
that's right.
we're going to head out to the PI shortly. We're going to go out and watch the fights tonight. We were there on Thursday watching the fight, the jiu-jitsu. It's enjoyable. And then we'll go and train at the PI after that. It's a good place. You could see why a lot of fighters would move out here and stay out here with all the facilities and everything there. If you had a really good team with you, it'd be a good place to be.
Yeah, especially if you have do you feel like MMA fighters will start doing that? Like, I feel like Volk is kind of there right now. We're getting into the era now. Remember when we all started training? We would just be like, everybody would just be at Tiger Muay Thai training at a super gym and just doing the same things. But do you feel like when the more money gets involved in the sport, you'll start having athletes just with their coach and maybe a few other guys, and then depending on the fight, they change their environment of training?
Well, look, I think even if you look at it back in those days, back at Tiger, when we got into fight camp and we'd show up, we'd get our little crew together and we'd just specialise our training for us. And I think that's what we've just continued to do, except, we've all got so much better, and the guys that we bring in are a lot better into the mix. But, I think we've always sort of done it, and I guess we've done some things that probably haven't worked, and we've done a lot of things that have worked, and as a coach or whatever, you've got to get those things and get that formula and get it to throw out those things that are not working and keep the things that are.
Yeah, that's the name of the game, right? Just keeping what's useful and throwing away the rest.
Yeah, and if you remember the days of Tiger back in the day, there was some, and I guess it's probably still there. There was some pretty, sketchy guys that you just, come fight week, you don't, or doing your camp, you don't want to spar those guys because they're not coming there to spar; they're coming there to fight. And the risk reward again isn't worth it. You get hurt, you're not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to fight. You're not going to be able to get paid, and all that hard work's gone out the window, because some guy wanted to fight you instead of spar you.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like no, 100%. I think to get the most out of the training environment is like a comfort. At least for me, like comfort is like comfortable with your training partners is where when you really get the most out of your sessions. When you can really go for it, and then you kind of know that you're both trying to get better and not really trying to get at each other, more trying to get better together.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think I feel that that's what we had back at Tiger in the day. And then you look at the guys that we were all together with and training, they've all gone over to Bangtown now and moved over there, and we're all still together, we're all still training together, and we're still all friends, with such a big variety of personalities and nationalities and different cultures, and we're still all respectful of each other, and I think it's just amazing.
It's so good when we all get together. Like the energy, it's contagious, man. I feel like it's an aura that we have, and I feel like everybody knows it too. It's kind of like it's unprecedented the way it is. When I see you guys, when we talk and we do these podcasts, I get like this happiness. It's weird, like just seeing the boys. It's crazy. It's wild.
Yeah, like you think about it. You got guys, Frankie. He's just another level of character, and then you think, Shay's going to be here. He's just he's English. You got an American guy. Then you got Aussie guys. Unfortunately, we've got a couple of Kiwis coming. But everything can't be.
Hey, we got some Spaniards. We got some Spaniards in the house. You know what I mean? For the Cuban coffee plugs. Yeah, it's a crazy crew, bro. We got all the I was doing comedy the other night, and I was taking the time on my phone. And then when I pulled out my phone to go to the clock, I had my world clock, and my friend's like, yo, why do you have all these weird countries? Like, because I got to see when my friend... I had like Australia, England, Thailand. It's like, I got to see when I message people what time it is over there. It's a good time to message me, It's a good problem to have, man. Yeah. But Big Joe, I don't want to take up too much of your time, man. I know you guys are still acclimating. I wanted to get you first, get that exclusive, the Big Joe exclusive. I love that we can get these little pre-fight snippets. This is what the fans love, man.
Yeah, well, I don't like doing podcasts, but always make time for,
Hey, you
for
gotta
the man
make
himself, for the honey badger.
I know you don't make any predictions, but give us something. What are you looking forward to this Saturday night for Volkanovski? As a coach, what are you looking to see in Alex implement?
Look, a finish is always good. Make a bit of a statement, and then that brings us more in for that'll make what's going to happen for our next fight. I think he goes out there and makes a statement. I think it can only bring better and more fruitful things for the team.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, I'm predicting a 3rd round submission. All right. I kind of want to say ground and pound, but I'm just saying submission because I know Volk was due for an epic submission. He's got the best. I know how good bro. His ground game is so good. Oh my gosh. You remember that triangle he got in I'll never forget that. That was in my how crazy was that? Bro, I've never seen a guy like winning and lose at the same time. Like, this guy would do something good and it was just worse for him. You see his face just change, from the ground up. Oh, what a fight, bro.
Yeah.
What is it about Volkanovski, right? It's like he's one of those characters that, like, the better you do against him, the worse it is for the opponent. Like, you don't even want to see how – you don't want to push him that far,
That was one crazy fight, that one.
Right? I've definitely prepared him for, like, that was like a big stepping stone for probably, like, really knowing he's the man, right? Like, I reckon that was a big world title. On enemy territory, too, far away from home, bro. Way out in Guam. I can't believe it. Not bad for – we had a Cuban, Australian, and from Miami and Guam kicking about. Spilling grapes, bro.
Good
Big Joe.
That was funny.
Enjoy it. Good luck on the road back to featherweight. Don't drop the grapes next week, all right? Especially at 145, Volk.
Yeah.
Hey, I really appreciate the time, my brother. Tell the boys, give the boys a big hug. Have a good weekend, all right, Joe?
All right. Thanks, Emilio.
Appreciate you, my man.
See you, brother.
Cheers.